It's Monday, October 21st. You're listening to your Florida Daily. I'm Katrina Scales. A former Orange County deputy remains locked up, accused of murdering his wife, then trying to cover it up. Anthony Shea was arrested on Friday afternoon, days after his wife, Ellie Shea, a sheriff's office lieutenant, was found dead. Originally, Anthony Shea told them his wife committed suicide, saying he went to the store to get food and then returned and found her in bed with a gunshot wound to her head. However, detectives say after investigating, they believe Anthony Shea killed his wife and then used her phone to send text messages misleading deputies. Anthony Shea retired from the sheriff's office last August amid allegations he was having sex while on duty. The man who gained social media fame with TikTok posts as he was riding out 2 hurricanes in his boat has been arrested in Tampa. Arrest records from the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office show Joseph Malinowski, the 54-year-old known as Lieutenant Dan, was arrested on Friday for trespassing and failure to appear on court on previous charges of operating an unregistered vehicle and having no valid driver's license. Malinowski had his left leg amputated below the knee as a teen, so if you didn't know, the nickname is a reference to the Lieutenant Dan character in the film Forrest Gump, played by actor Gary Sinise. Earlier this month, Malinowski was seen in news and social media outlets rejecting pleas from emergency officials to seek shelter. He instead remained in his boat during Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton, and after the storms, he was found safe. Hillsborough County records describe Malinowski as a transient individual whose occupation is listed as TikTok star. At last check, he remains in jail. And it was a mixed weekend for 2 of Florida's 3 NFL teams. One team earning a much-needed win, while the other looking ahead to next week. We'll start out in Indianapolis, where the Miami Dolphins fell to the Colts on the road. The final score, 16-10. But the team is telling fans help is on the way. That's because they hope to get injured QB Tua Tagovailoa back as early as next week against the Arizona Cardinals. And it was a much-needed win for the Jacksonville Jaguars across the pond. In their second straight game in London, the Jags, who have been struggling this season, managed to beat the New England Patriots 32-16. Find these top stories along with breaking news, weather, and traffic all day on clickorlando.com. And now, a completely random Florida fact. Back in the early 1960s, racially segregated Florida was an unfriendly place for Black travelers. So when students at Florida A&M University invited their parents to Tallahassee for homecoming week, it usually meant staying with family members or friends in the area. And that's where the A&M Hotel comes in. It met the rising demand for high-quality accommodations accessible to Black visitors who were not allowed to stay at segregated establishments in the city. The A&M was managed by Mrs. Hortney's Tukes, who also managed the nearby Tukes House. Until its closure in the mid-1980s, many famous Black visitors to Tallahassee stayed at the Tukes House. The house was placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 2001, and while the Tukes Lodge remains standing, the A&M Hotel building is no longer around today. Your Florida Daily is produced by News 6, WKMG in Orlando. I'm Katrina Scales. Subscribe for new episodes wherever you like to listen.